Hey guys, this is Chesney Hawks here. You are watching My Hammers 11 with the one and only Russ.
Hi everybody, Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you are all safe and well. If you're new channel, please consider subscribing, hit the bell icon so you may be ready to put new content on. As always, we'd like to thank our lovely channel sponsors, Untuck It. Check them out in the description below. We've got another fan. It's sort of joint loyalties because he's got an England top on, but you know we couldn't allow that after the game the other day.
I had to get it on after last night.
Exactly, you got to keep it on. Yeah, you got to keep it on. It's like stuck to you, probably with beer from the sesh with rye.
Absolutely.
It's Jamie from the Pretty Bubbles podcast. How are we doing, Jay? How you doing, man?
Yeah, really, really good. Like really good at the moment. Just it feels weird not having West Ham on. Like after the season that we've just had, it went absolutely nuts. But I'm just loving the Euros at the moment. But
yeah. It is. It's like it's filling the gap, isn't it? Because like obviously we finished the season, and we had this sort of deluge of football, and then we had about 2 or 3 weeks, wasn't it? And it was like, what takes up all my time? And then obviously Euros, and then what's going to happen is you're going to have, you know, a couple of weeks time, it's going to stop, and then you'll be like, how long to pre-season starts properly? You know what I mean? So
and that's when everyone will be moaning, we're signing nobody again.
Yeah. All back to the good times. All back to the good times. But as you said, England are keeping us entertained, which is good in the meantime. And as we were saying, you know, it's obviously this will go out before Saturday's game, and you know we play against Yarmolenko, prime Yarmolenko.
It's just a different player when he pulls on that Ukraine shirt. It's just incredible.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's so funny. And I don't know if it's same as me. Every time I get but when we played with the Czech Republic, and we had obviously had the 2 Czech boys for us playing as well. I feel like it's almost like I feel like they're my children. So it's like, you know, when you watch your kid and they do something wrong on the football pitch, you're thinking, it's the same thing for me. And I get the same thing with Declan Rice as well. You know, because like he's like, oh.
I think Rice even more so because obviously where he's English, every other media or other teams want to kind of like slag him off and go, "Oh, Declan Rice isn't as good as you think." But it's like last night I saw him get a 6 somewhere, and he was much better than that. Like he was very, very good. Like James, who is on our podcast, loves the Czech boys. Like I've never seen a man have such a big mouth crush. So he would defend them to the heels.
Yeah, no, I do as well. And it's like, and it's always like you sort of wince when he I criticize the commentators. So it's like, you know, it's like Declan Rice was out of position there. Well, actually, it was John Stones that was out of position, and Deck was covering. You know, so it was always like I'm trying to sort of validate the fact that Declan Rice is a world class player, and sort of. Sort of second guessing the commentary. He's second guessing the Twitter deluge from people from United. Oh, he's rubbish. He's not rubbish. He's one of the finest defensive midfield players in the world, and he retired Tony Kroos. So
that is exactly it. Like, and what is it? I remember loads of West Ham fans last night were tweeting when like Tony Kroos said, "Thanks, mate, Declan Rice," and they're like, a lot of people were replying like, "Yeah, thanks, mate, for making me retire." Like, just he's come on leaps and bounds last year or so. I think Rice is incredible now.
I don't think it's any surprise for me with Declan Rice that he's come on leaps and bounds as soon as Souček really came through the door, really, because he didn't have to. No disrespect to Mark, but it was always like he was doing 2 jobs. It seemed like covering Mark a little bit, and whereas him and Souček have a great understanding. I think him and Phillips are starting to build a good understanding as well, and for England, and you can see, you know, I'd like to think Southgate's seen the way Rice plays for West Ham and has tried to replicate that with Rice and Phillips. It's almost like a bit like, particularly second half on the England game the other day, the Germany game, where where Rice was doing more West Ham Riceness, you know, like gallivanting through the midfield with the ball, which he does all the time at West Ham. But he's been sort of, and obviously I think the back 3 works better for him for England than the 4. So
he's undroppable for me in the England team. I think he plays every game.
I don't think either of them are. I don't think the 2 of them are. I think you need to keep them both. And I know it's not attractive, but you know, it's about winning a trophy. And I mean, look at some of the teams who've won. Greece, Denmark. Denmark a bit more entertaining they play, but obviously Greece they literally, ground every result out and won the tournament. So,
well, I compared the England team yesterday to the George Graham of Arsenal. We'd love a 1-0. Obviously, we won 2-0 in the end last night. That it's not been absolutely beautiful football, but we're keeping clean sheets, and if you keep clean sheets, you don't lose.
It's funny. I was watching I was watching a watch along. I was watching Gonzo doing it while I was watching the telly as well, and him and Tommy were on there talking about it. And they were like, "Oh, it's just so negative and so boring." And you think, and then 5 minutes later, we score. Yes, and I'm like, tactical genius, because now he's kept the 2 defensive midfield players on to see the game out. It's just so funny. Harry Kane, he scores. Hey, still played shit. Just didn't even realize he was around first half, to be honest. But it's funny, and everyone comes out it's coming home, sweet Caroline. And you're thinking, 20 minutes ago, we were all baying for Southgate out. It's just the fickleness of football. Same as West Ham, isn't it, really? I mean, Moyes came in, everyone was like, oh, God, David Moyes, really?
Daryl hates him.
He's the Moyes sire,
absolutely hates him. He still now is like, got to bite the bullet and admit he's done a good job. But I think deep down, the second we lose a game, Daryl's going to be like, get him out. He's useless.
Yeah. And the thing is that whole last season was a load of those sort of proved wrong moments. You had him, you had Dawson coming in, who technically I think tomorrow should be our first permanent signing. So there we go. You see, you made a signing. Greg Dawson. There was him. There was Jesse Lingard. I was like, really?
Same.
And totally proved wrong. Proved wrong.
And then you look at Kufal for £5 million being arguably the value of the summer. Incredible player.
We all scoffed, didn't we? We scoffed when he turned up, thinking, £5 million. What can you get for a right back or a player?
You expected him to just be like a Sunday League level player, and then he turned out to be incredible.
Yeah, exactly. Who did you do your Hammer of the Year vote? Who did you vote for?
Oh God! See, I think I went Kufal. I do think I went, but there was. I think I was. I said it was either Kufal, Souček, Rice. I even said Creswell's an outside shout because I've defended Creswell through a lot because obviously last year he was quite poor. But to be honest, I feel like there was a few outstanding candidates. So when they do give it out, I don't think there's going to be a bad person whoever wins it.
No, I agree. And what's nice is the fact is, I was saying this to Lee from American Hammers the other day. He puts that, he said, I don't know who to pick for. I don't know who to pick. And I said, well, actually, this is probably the first time I can remember for a few seasons where it could be several people. And that just shows you how well we're playing as a team. It's always like, even that season at the bowling everyone talks about, it was always going to be Dimitri Payet, and it was always going to be Fabianski or Declan Rice. It was always a standout. But there's several, and that just shows the different makeup of the team now. Yeah. So as long and that I'd love that to continue. I'd love next year 4 or 5 people could win it, and it just makes it better because obviously the team are playing better.
100%. Can't wait for Europe next year. Do anything to get tickets to next year. It's going to be amazing.
I know. I haven't breached that subject yet with Mrs. Budden, but I'm thinking we might have to try and. I'm praying for like a Marseille.
Yeah, a nice one that you could talk her into going.
Yeah, just for a weekend. Oh, hang on. Look. I'm just going to walk past the stadium. West Ham are playing. Who would have thunk it?
The best. Wow. What is it? My new missus, she's an Arsenal fan, so she's so used to seeing Arsenal in Europe. The last 6 months, I've just been giving her grief that we're in Europe, and she's hating it.
She won't be a new missus for long, mate. If you keep doing that, that's what I'm saying.
I've got to do. West Ham never are better than Arsenal, so I've got to do it.
It's worth it, isn't it? It's worth it. Let's be honest. No, I totally agree, man. You got to enjoy it while we last. You know what I mean? I mean, towards the end of last season, I was like, we're gonna. Next season our squad's going to be and yada yada. Let's just enjoy the fact we ended up 6th in the league and enjoy the fact we're in Europe. And if we might get out of the group stage, we might not, but we're not going into it thinking we're going to win it and be in the Champions League the following year, because obviously we would be if we won it. And I mean, everyone's like, so many games. I think it's like 4 games more or 5 games more based on, because obviously we
we're
get
straight
a
in the
bye.
group stages. Yeah, we get a bye in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah,
and 6 group games. So there's 5 and maybe others, but I think it's just a great experience. Like, I'm not expecting us to finish 6th next year. Like, if you are, then I think you're being a little bit unrealistic. But it's just going to be a season to enjoy. We've actually got something kind of building now with Moyes. Let's just enjoy it and take our time.
Totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. I'd like to. I mean, I'd say for next season, I'd want a minimum of 10th. I think, to be honest, because for me, if we ended up being 15th next season, well, it's like the old West Ham. We have one good season, about 5. So up until now, the best season we had was the last 5 years would have been the bowling season, really. And then before that would have been maybe 05, 06, when we in the FA Cup final. Before that would have probably 99, 2000. So literally every 5 years we have a good season. And so if we have 2 good seasons, well, hey, that's great. And as you said, it's all about the project, and it's all about. It seems like it's being built. Do you know what I mean? I know people tend to have given it lip service. Oh, we're building a project here, and I've signed for the project and all that bullshit. This actually is a project. You can feel, and it's like now we get silly season where we have everyone sort of linked with us. You can discount him because he doesn't fit our profile. He's too young. He's too old. He's too expensive. We can sort of guess. We can sort of look through the bullshit a little bit. And
I think it's the impatience of fans. Fans want. Like, fans, it's the 30th of June. The season starts in over a month, and everyone's like, "Oh, I want players in now." Yes, you want to get players in early doors, but sometimes that's just not how business goes. Like, you'd rather us get the players in that are going to benefit the team more and take our time than go and sign any Tom, Dick, and Harry who's not going to benefit the team. And that's one credit I'll always give to Moyes. He didn't go out and spend money for the sake of it. He brought in people he thought fit the team.
Yeah. Exactly, and the same thing that obviously everyone moaned in January about not getting a striker in. But would you have got a striker in who scored 9 goals? No, you wouldn't have got Jesse, because Jesse Lingard came in and just hit the ground running, and arguably maybe sometimes hindsight's a great thing. Maybe it would have been great not to have sold Haller, and he could have probably played a few of those games that Antonio was out and given us. Hindsight's a great thing. I just think I still think we're a striker away from being a very dangerous team in that Premier League.
Definitely.
I mean, Antonio, I love him. He's not a striker. We know he's not a striker. He does.
He just scores goals, though.
He just does. He bundles them in, doesn't he? Let's be honest. He bundles them in. And if you're there and the ball hits him, it's going to go in because he's just a brick wall.
Yeah.
And he terrifies defenders. They don't know what he's going to do. He doesn't know what he's going to do. So he's the. Someone called it. It's the best expression of him. He's the best worst footballer I know.
Yep.
He's brilliant at not being. He's not like technical, but he's brilliant. He's just brilliant. But it's a real juxtaposition. If you saw him play, you'd be like, "What?" But he just has this knack, and I love players who have a knack of getting in the box. And with that extra striker's instinct, those 23 times we hit the post last season, a few of them would have gone in.
West Ham Clips loved it, didn't it?
He did.
Some of the clips.
Although he would have loved it if he was a Tottenham fan, because Tottenham had one more than us.
Oh, but to be fair, no one likes Tottenham, so we don't mind them hitting the post.
And that's I'm surprised Clips hasn't done a little thing of Tottenham, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Bless him.
The best thing he done was the goggle box reaction. So, when we were 3-0 down and got back to 3-0, on his YouTube, he's got like a goggle box of all the Tottenham fans and West Ham fans when we were 3-0 down to 3-3.
Yeah.
It's comical. Absolutely comical.
He's a top boy to Clips. I love him. And obviously, with Clips as well, I told him this because actually, obviously, at the grounds, I was still there last season. So, you hear him talking about it. The players, like Snoddy particularly, would always they'd shout out Snodfather when it was his time, when he was like warming up to come in and change, and stuff like that. And so, we'd say us on the walkie-talkies, hits the post. We'll go, that's one for Clips. Yeah, that's one for Clips. It's great. One day I would love him to do, and it won't ever happen, but I'd love him to do like the 11. He's done a Hammers 11 with me, which is great. And I'd love him to do. One day he's going to reveal himself, Masked Singer. And he said he'll come and do a proper 11. But I'd love to chat to him about why he did it all and all the stuff, because he's just come out of nowhere, and I think he's absolutely brilliant. I love him. He's absolutely fantastic. And the same as yourselves. I mean, you a few months ago you thought, hang on, you and your mates thought we'd start a podcast. You always thought a channel, and it's brilliant. I love listening, watching new stuff. I love it, and you must love it too, talking to your mates about West Ham and stuff.
Yeah, I think the thing was, it was with lockdown, it was the perfect way to get into it, like introduce, like we've all been massive West Ham fans, all four of us, our whole lives. So we all just kind of came together and went, let's do this. Like, I'm the only one who's got a season ticket, just with the way all of our lives are at the moment. But we all watch games as regular as we can, and like all the time. Look, we all don't agree. We openly admit that. We've all got very different opinions on how West Ham are. But let's be honest, if everyone had the same opinion, it'd be boring.
So boring.
I love talking West Ham. It's especially when you're winning, it's a lot easier. Like when we lost to Newcastle first game of the season, I think if you probably watched that back, it would have been dark and gloom. Yeah. Like it would not been nice. So I just love talking West Ham every single time.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? It's like, particularly when it was in proper lockdown, where you couldn't necessarily sit there and have a beer with your mates. It was sort of like the next best thing, really. And if everyone wants to listen to it, great. But if not, you just do it for yourself, innit? Because it's just like it's just a way of, and also I think for a lot of people, it's a way of categorizing a period of their life. So, for example, the whole of lockdown, what did you do during lockdown? Oh, we started a YouTube channel and did this and got and you got Ryan on and people like that, and that's what it's all about, man. I love it, and I love the fact that there's so many people, because everyone has an opinion, and rather than sit behind 140 characters on Twitter, you've got okay, we'll just record our opinions, and if people don't agree, then they can do their own stuff, and
exactly,
it's great. I love it. I think it's good fun, man. It's good fun, and as I say, to be honest, I don't even watch proper telly now. I don't think I ever do. I always literally watch his YouTube, it seems, at the moment.
To be fair, I love movies, so I watch loads of films and stuff. But I know what you mean. Like, if I'm ever bored, I'm normally scrolling through my phone on YouTube, finding like clips to watch, or like the amount of old like West Ham highlights I'll watch of a game, and just think like the amount of times I've watched a 3-3 back, or like the Wolves, or less. Like I've just watched games back just for the sake of it, because why not?
Why not? I mean, what else is there to watch at the moment? To be honest, there's not really much else. Although I quite like Clarkson's Farm on Amazon Prime. I quite like that. I'm quite into that. Jeremy Clarkson is quite good.
I love my sport in general. So like cricket, football, tennis, darts. I'll literally name a sport, I'll watch it. So there's always something on. Normally, first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is Sky Sports. I'm just scrolling through it, trying to find something.
Well, you've got good. Obviously, you've got Euros and Wimbledon on at the same time, and the British Lions soon as well. So
perfect.
Perfect. Okay, that's the thing. I'm looking forward to the Lions. Looking forward to that. Right. So you say you obviously you don't say you're a season ticket holder, massive fan. But what started you becoming a West Ham fan, Jamie? Why are you a West Ham fan? More importantly,
so my whole family, my whole life is West Ham fans, apart from my uncle, who's an Arsenal fan. Don't know why. It's so my whole family through everything have always been West Ham. I've got some links. So like my great uncle's best mate in school was Martin Peters. Brilliant. So like my dad was a semi-pro footballer. He played for Southend, and the manager at the time was Bobby Moore. So
wow,
that my dad says like he's the loveliest bloke he ever met. So West Ham has always been in my family, through my blood. It's a big part of my life. I would argue the most proud football memory I've got is the farewell game at the Boleyn. I remember my first game. I think we beat Crystal Palace 3-0, and I think it might have been Alan Pardew's first game in charge. But just West Ham. I remember my family support it, like most people. If your family support them, that's who you're going to support. But football's my life. Love it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean. It's one of those things with me. I think you're right. Once you're in, and it's just a massive, and it is a family. And I mean, even like you said, the four of you on the podcast as well. That's a family in a weird way. In as well, you're connected to West Ham, and I think it's the same with anyone. It's like a lot of people. you know, in YouTube, West Ham fans all help each other out, and it's all about community, and and I love it, and I absolutely love it. And I was totally immune to it all. Totally immune to it until I started doing the channel. And I've been fortunate enough to interview lots of ex-players, but loads of fans all over the world, from Bangalore to Brentwood.
Yeah,
you know, that type of thing, you know, or Brisbane, Bangalore to Brisbane, that's more that way, Bangalore to wherever, you know, all over the place. And it's just this funny little club in East London.
So and it brings so many people together.
Yeah, it does. It's so weird. It's just so strange. I sit there. It's like when you sort of get a message from people and they go, "Oh, hi," they was just mention something, and you're thinking, "You're never." We do loads of stuff for charity. We do loads of stuff for the Irons Supporting Food Banks, and you get guys from like the Thailand Hammers donating like £100, and these guys probably never going to step foot in Newham, but because it's a West Ham thing and it's for West Ham people, it's West Ham area. They'll sponsor it. I think it's absolutely mental, man. Absolutely mental.
Yeah, totally
I love it. I absolutely adore it, man. And you get it. You'll probably get it as well. You know, it just the support when you put videos up, and yeah, people might criticize you, but then a lot of people will agree, or it just start a conversation. And we've had loads of podcast people on, and you know, and it's just it's all good stuff, man. There's people I know literally will not watch anything apart from West Ham YouTube stuff.
Yeah,
and literally they're on everything, and they're watching everything because they comment on everything as well. And but it's part of the family, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. And as you said, once you're in.
Yep, you're hooked, and you just can't get rid of it. I think like it was weird. Like before this, the lockdown, I was going through a phase of just not enjoying football in general.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the lockdown came at a good time, and now I just can't wait to get back. I feel like sometimes I needed that little refresh to just get back, enjoy it. But now, like, I can't wait to get back to non-league football too, get back to the Olympic Stadium and see 50,000 loud West Ham fans cheering us on. Like, it's just, it's crazy to me that literally most West Ham fans haven't seen people like Kufal play in a West Ham shirt.
Crazy, isn't it?
Jesse Lingard might never play for West Ham again.
Yes, he's gone.
And he's going to be a cult, like a fan favourite for absolutely ages, and he only played one game in front of fans. It's absolutely mental,
isn't it? It's crazy when you think. I mean, I think I've taken it slightly for granted, to be honest. You know, there's obviously I've still been there during lockdown and stuff. So there's been no break in service, so to speak, but for some people, they've been season ticket holders for 50 years and have gone home and away. And it's like a huge part of their life for like 9-10 months a year. And they've had to feel that, you know, they haven't had that. And yeah, you can watch it on the telly. That's great. And arguably, you probably get better view watching it, you know, than would do if you're Newcastle away and they stick you right on the top, you know. But it doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's about going out with your mates. Is, you know, we're not in it for the winning. Your uncle got it right if that was the case, you know, if that was the be one end all, you know, an invincible season, a few, you know, Premier League titles and FA Cups and stuff like that. That doesn't happen to us. Yeah, but it's about sort of, as you said, meeting, seeing guys and just interacting. It's lovely watching the England games and the Hungary, like the games in Budapest where it's full capacity. That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Exactly. It was right. It was so good watching Budapest and just seeing 30,000 loud fans back, because that's how football should be played. Like, it's just, football is a sport for the fans, and without it, it's not the same. It never has been and never will be.
No. And that's why I think this season, particularly for West Ham, Moisey needs a lot more credit. I don't think that's wrong. I think he's got credit, but I think there's an extra level of it, because, you know, we've interviewed guys. I've interviewed lots of ex-players, and I've spoken about, you know, to them about, you know, you're playing without fans, you know, and they might have played reserve team games or things like that. And I was like, you know, he says, because the fans, are they really a 12th man? Are they really a 12th man to you? And I remember, I think it was Faubert or someone like that said, they give me an extra 20%. If I'm feeling shit, when I walked out, give me an extra 20%. And you could feel the game, the Germany game. You could see the play, the way Declan was trying to, you know, coordinate the crowd a little bit at times and things like that. And and we've done really well without having to had that ability to play that extra 15%. So we've needed that team spirit to give us the extra boost, and that's why I think teams that you look at the teams that went down. You got Fulham, Sheffield United, all very West Brom, all very old-fashioned, tight grounds, proper 12-man grounds. You know, Fulham's the exception, but small grounds are used to the intimidating factor. Burnley didn't do too well either. Again, small ground. All the teams that did quite well were the teams who had the quite big bowl stadiums, like we have, have now. You know, Christ knows what would have happened if we were at Upton Park and we'd have had all this. I don't think that would have had the same impact as we'd have been down there. I honestly think, just in terms of
it would have been weird.
Yeah, very, very straight. There would have been no social distancing. You would never have got 10,000 fans in Upton Park for that last game of the season. That's for sure.
I was going to say, you would have had everyone outside on the streets trying to pile their way in.
Been an absolute nightmare. But anyway, So anyway, we put the world to right. Yeah, and I just think, it's great. And I think, you saw the way the commentator, you saw the way Rio was and Lineker, Gary, and Shearer, and they were proper like buzzing off the fact that they weren't in a studio. They weren't glassed off, and
they were in front of the fans. You saw Rio as he was cheering; he was kind of looking towards the fans instead of
proper giving it. And he didn't want to. He almost didn't want to be a part of the interview, the analysis. He just wanted to listen to the fans. And obviously, I've seen we had a load of West Ham fans there on Instagram. Baz was there, and Chris was there, and Matty was there, and they're all there. And you saw the videos, and that's what it's all about, man. That
the video of Harry Kane kind of puts it into perspective.
Yeah,
like he was taken back by how loud the fans were. It was amazing, truly
especially
amazing.
Because obviously Kelly, who does the BBC stuff, she used to do the stuff for us at West Ham. So it was so noisy, wasn't it? That Sterling had to put headphones in, and it's just like, and that wasn't even full. What's it going to be like?
Imagine 90,000 fans if England get to the final.
In the final, it's made for it now, isn't it? It's so made for it. It's so West Ham that we're not going to get there. It's just West Ham, isn't it? That is literally our life as a West Ham fan. That's why I was talking to some guys at the school, and I was queuing up for my daughter the other day. Not West Ham fans. They're like, "Oh, England, England!" They get so excited and they knock us down. What about you? What do you think, Russ? Yeah. What do you mean? Well, I've been a West Ham fan for 40 years, so I'm sort of used to it. This is what happens. This is you get a bit of what we get used to, and so I love it, man.
To be fair, I as we won the game, I did text my manager at work and said, "Can I have the 12th of July off if we get to the final?" He went, "You're getting ahead of yourself." And I'm like, "I'm not. It's coming home. I've got to."
The frustrating thing is, if it was a week later. That's Freedom Day the week after, isn't
COVID.
It? 19.
Yeah, COVID's gone. It would have been. I genuinely think. Imagine if the country had gone into full out of lockdown and we just won the Euros. I think the whole. I think it would have just been made a public holiday. Like it just would have
been absolutely crazy. It would be absolutely crazy. But we'll see. It's definitely coming home.
It is coming home.
It's the same as me every year. I think we're going to win the FA Cup. That's like every year. FA Cup. Nice cup run this year.
I'd love an FA Cup
by Wrexham or something, but it's definitely coming home. He says, and but then I know that Yarmolenko is going to score a hat trick on Saturday. It's just like
he will never get welcomed back to West Ham if he does that.
We haven't spoken about that. The juxtapositioning of Yarmolenko turning up and having like a worldie. I mean, because to be honest, that first goal, it was a proper good goal. It's a good setup by him for Zinchenko. I always keep calling him Shevchenko, but he's on the bench. He's the manager, really. Yarma. You can just see it, though. You can just see it. And then where is he? And then we'd probably sell him. We'd probably have to sell him, wouldn't we?
Yeah, to be fair, I think he should be sold. But if he definitely scores, I think I'd sell him.
Yeah. We paid £80 million for him.
Yeah, I think it's the wages and the age and stuff. I think that's the thing that plays into me. It's just if you keep him, I'm worried that he'll be gone on a free. Maybe it's worth cashing in before he leaves on a free. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but because this is last season, this next season.
I think so. I think it's
a lot of people's last season, next season. Not as many as Crystal Palace was this year. But
the one thing, it's sad that the last game's not at the Boleyn next year because it would have been nice that his last ever game was at the Boleyn. Just
Yeah.
No, not the bowling. What am I saying?
It's 5 years out of date, David. Yeah.
At the Olympic
London
Stadium.
Yeah, I know what you mean. As particularly as because it'll be, well, we'd need it. It's Brighton, isn't it? And we need a point to win the title, probably then. So
to be fair though, when we get to the Europa League final, that'll be his last ever game. So
that will be, yeah. And so because I think there's the semi-finals will be in between the Man City game and the Brighton game. Yeah,
exactly.
So that's not a bad last game of the season.
Yeah.
Last game of his career. Although I'm happy. I was a bit sort of when the fixtures came out, I looked at that last game and thought the last home game, and I thought, oh, City. You wanted a Southampton or a Watford or someone you're going to put 5 or 6, potentially you can put a lot past. But actually, City, I think, is a really good game because obviously there's this sort of very much mutual respect. Yeah. Exactly. And I think they would give him a standing ovation, and hopefully I think they'll
respect it. They'll be. Yeah. I think they're arguably the club that they might slap us 3 or 4-0. But I think come the end of the game, they'll respect Noble as much as probably our fans because I've got a real soft spot for City. I think all West Ham fans have. Yeah.
And City do, because apparently City remind them of us. No, remind us of them, that before.
I think it's because we're the small club in a big city. Obviously, there's multiple clubs in London, but you look at teams like Man U have always been the number one, while West Ham have always been like the second tier of clubs in London. So it's always been like we're the underdogs. So when you see an underdog do well, it's kind of like, good. I'm really happy for you. Yeah, I've got a real soft spot for him.
Yeah, I do. And I think Guardiola would do it right. Do you know what I mean? He would play it right. Because I think some managers would like, if we had like West Brom and Big Sam was still there, he'd want to put a boot in, wouldn't he? He'd have a old go. Where I think Guardiola will have the respect that he deserves. It's a shame when it's be. Would love someone like Tottenham. Would have been great fun.
If we'd won against Tottenham, that would have been. Got a last-minute penalty to win it too. He's bring him on to score.
And then he hadn't scored all season. It takes him to joint top goal scorer in the Premier League for West Ham on 49, because on 48 in him, and Antonio on 48. But that obviously means that Antonio doesn't score at all next season.
I was going to say, if he don't score at all next year, we're in big trouble. We're fighting relegation.
That's the thing. Antonio was nowhere near the goal scoring charts, was he? Nowhere near. And he's bagged himself 2 10s in successive seasons, and he's right up there.
The 4 goals against Norwich did help.
It did, it did. I remember that game really well. I love the way we talk off piste all the time, but I love that Norwich game. I loved, because that was when I just interviewed someone who worked for Sky, who told me about how the crowd noise works, and it was all based on Opta stats, and it like FIFA and Opta stats type thing.
Yeah.
And then I watched that game, and when the Norwich fans, or the computer Norwich fans, booed them off the pitch, I thought that's like the robots have turned. And so I thought it was brilliant. Right, let's get back on track. Let's talk about your 11. So obviously, everyone we have on the channel, bar Harry Redknapp, Ian Bishop, and Nigel Reo-Coker, randomly, I didn't really understand Nigel Reo-Coker's reasoning, but anyway, the other two I could, because Harry started talking about Bobby Ferguson and ran out of time, and Ian Bishop was just a lovely guy. I didn't want to piss him off.
Yeah.
So everyone we've had on the channel, we get to do an 11. Now you can pick based on whatever criteria you want. It doesn't have to be the best, can be the worst, or whatever. But the only rule is you have to be alive to have seen them play. So obviously that Kibosh is you and me picking Bobby Moore or Billy Bonds or Trevor Brooking or stuff like that, which is fair enough. We never saw him. We never saw him. And obviously then makes more a thing when we do talk to people who did see Bobby Moore play. It sort of gives it a bit more credence. So in goal, who's going to go and go for the grey 11?
I thought this was quite hard because there was 3 people that I could go with. It was either Fabianski.
Yep.
Oh, Roberto. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Roberto, Joe Hart, or
who was the other geezer we had who was an absolute? But in the end, I went Rob Green. I've got a real soft spot for Rob Green. I think the game against Arsenal, the first ever win at the Emirates. That's the game that if someone said to me, give me a Robert Green game for West Ham, he was incredible that day. I remember watching it. He was immense. He was always my favourite goalkeeper growing up. The way he was dealt with at the 2010 World Cup upset me because I still think he was the best keeper we had. I've always had a soft spot for Green. Adrian could have been up there just for the Everton penalty, like that. But for me, Rob Green was better than Adrian.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So and Fabianski was close, but yeah, just a little bit of the relegation, the Great Escape, could just put Rob Green up there for me.
And it's funny because everyone talks about the Arsenal game, and I remember interviewing Jimmy Walker, and he was saying, because he put his 11 and he put Rob Green in goal. And I said, well, not yourself. I didn't know, and I put myself in. I got Robert Green in. And the reason being was because he was the model professional goalkeeper. And he, obviously, until recently, he was goalkeeper coach Jimmy was goalkeeper coach at Ipswich, wasn't he? And so, and so he said that he'd make all of his young goalkeepers watch Robert Green. Because also he was talking about the Arsenal game, and he was like, because he spoke about it. And on the Friday, it was him and Roy Carroll. They'd gone out, done their training with Rob, and they'd gone back in, they'd showered, they went off to Epping, probably 195, whatever, for a few bevies. And Rob was still training. He was still, him and Ludo were just doing one-on-ones all day, all like for a couple of hours afterwards. Come to the Arsenal game, he must have had about a dozen one-on-ones. He beat.
It worked.
It worked exactly. So it just shows that it paid off. You can have all the talent. He said he worked. Jimmy actually said that Roy Carroll was the most talented goalkeeper he'd seen, naturally talented, but Rob Green was just a better professional. And yeah, he's a top man, top man. And I love the fact he does a lot more sort of like last season, he did a lot more punditry stuff on Sky and things
Sky like stuff. When he was on Monday Night Football, that was really interesting just to hear him talk about goalkeeping and the 2010 World Cup. It was really, really interesting because I feel like a lot of people just forget about what happened there, and he spoke about it really well, I thought.
Yeah, no, he's a top man. Right, okay, so put Greeno in. Let's go defence. Who's your first defender?
I'm going to go left back because this was the easiest one for me. Creswell. Like, he's been the left back for basically a third of the life of my West Ham that I've been alive. And I love him. I've always loved Aaron Creswell. So he's just so good. I love Creswell. I think he's an absolute underrated pro footballer. Hammer of the year too. Creswell has to go in it for me.
Definitely. And Rob Green was Hammer of the Year once as well.
That's true. So, the drop off from Creswell to our other left back stuff, I was struggling to think of who else. Herita Alunga.
Herita Alunga. Probably, who did I have? Obviously, I was fortunate enough to see Julian. So Julian was in my team.
That's true.
And then we had a bit of a fall off. Then we had a bit of a renaissance in terms of getting in sort of last one season wonders, end of their careers. So we had like Stuart Pearce, and we had Nigel Winterburn, we had Chris Powell, Rufus Berwick, good professional, Scott Minto. We had some good professional left backs. But Creswell, he's been at the club for 7 years now, 6-7 seasons now.
I think he's like our second most capped Premier League player after.
He took over from Colton a couple of games towards the end of the season. But I think he's great. And the way his renaissance, as you said, a lot of people criticising him 18 months ago. They're not criticising him in the same way now.
No, not at all.
I just think he's a great player. The one concern for me is when they play four at the back, he does get shown up a little bit for pace. And I think where we could back in the day, have Stuart Pearce, have Nigel Winterburn, not necessarily the quickest, but they were just in the same way that Zabaleta got shown up a little bit towards the end of his career as well. So, but anyway, in the three, when he plays in the three, he's great. But we'll put him at left back here. Right, let's go right back then. Let's go the other side.
This was the hardest for me because I've not had many good right backs. I didn't want to go Kufau because I've never seen him live. So it couldn't be Kufau. in the end, I really used to like Guy Demel. He was terrible, but me and my mate loved him.
I love Guy. Guy's a lovely bloke.
He was just
man.
He was so average that I remember when he scored against Liverpool in a game when we lost, and it was like he was just a tappy, and he was so average. But I had to go Guy Demel. Like the other options were Lucas Neal, because he was a captain for a couple of years and was solid as a rock. Joey O'Brien, my mates always used to take the piss and said I looked like him. So that's another.
Not now. God, he's seen him now. Oh, I didn't recognise him when he came on the Zoom call. He shaved his head.
But anyway, so it had to be Guy Demel, just because me and my mate who I go West Ham with always used to have a soft spot. But this was more.
He was solid though. I'm being funny. Look, I mean, he was a
Sam Allardyce right back.
Yeah, proper unit. And I mean, he looks as fit as a fiddle now. Can easily still do a job. I told him that. And I love, and do you know what? And his players, that's why I love interviewing players like Guy Demel, like John Pantsil, like, these right backs who maybe didn't play a lot of games. He loved his time at West Ham, Guy Demel. He loved it. And so, and it's just lovely to see. I just love, and it reaffirms your love of the club when you see the players who play for you, adore it just as much as you adore it. But we'll put Guy in. Good old Guy Demel. He'll be happy. Right. Okay. So who's your first centre half then?
This was hard.
Everything's been hard apart from the left back, Jamie, at the moment.
James Collins.
Oh, GP.
It has to be.
Yeah.
100% every game. I remember Leicester away when we won 2-0. Noble scored the worldie. And for about an hour, I can't remember, it felt like an hour after the game, we were just cheering on, sign him up, Ginger Pele.
Yeah.
He's always had a soft spot for the club. Like, he's so good. When he left, it was a massive mistake when he went Villa. I remember him leaving it. When he came back, he's for me, I think he sums up what West Ham is.
Yeah.
100% every single week, cares about the club. He was a leader, even though he was never captain. And when he left, you could see the stadium. It was saying goodbye to a legend. He was, in my eyes, a legend of West Ham United.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's sort of, but I think there's two types of players who become. You get into West Ham fans' hearts. There's two types. There's one who are 100% body on the line, and there's ones who are just like the most talented players in the world, and are just skillful little buggers. And obviously James Collins, he was an old school defender, and that's why we loved him. The fact when he wasn't in the squad and he was in the crowd at Arsenal away and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I love players, and also I love players who when they could give their shirts out, would give a shirt, but not just throw it nonchalantly into the crowd as a gesture. He'd pick someone out in Chav Corner and hand it to him. Do you know what I mean? Like a little kid. And I love that. And he'd give and he'd have his massive tattoos and his paley ginger chest. And, I he's great. I love James Collins. I'd love to see him back in some.
You never hear a bad word about him.
No,
like you never hear a fan that really dislikes him or goes, he weren't right.
Although he's ghosting me on Instagram at the moment, so I will say that he was up for it and he's been ghosting me. So sorry, GP. I won't say a bad word against you, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. He's just a lovely guy, isn't he? Lovely guy. And so you got GP. So who's he going to partner?
Winston Reid.
Oh, that's nice.
For me, that last goal at the Boleyn is the best memory I've ever got in football. I can't not put him in. No. It could have been Ogbonna, but that goal for Reid just has to. And because for about 4 years, he was incredible for us.
Yeah,
he was so good. One hammer of the year, and whenever he was on the team sheet, you just trusted him to be so good and reliable. So, Winston Reid. but that goal at the Bowling bloody well helps, I must say.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things. It doesn't happen very often that all the stars align, and the stars aligned, and when he to score that goal, as I said, it's written him in the fabric of West Ham history. You know, 126 years old yesterday, but he'll always be a part of that show reel, forever. And it was great to see him get minutes for the pitch, the playoff final, and who knows? Maybe
I hope he gets a good. I was going to say, if he stays at Brentford, I hope he gets a good welcome. I don't know. Was it on loan or was it on permanent?
It was on loan. It was on loan, but who knows?
Yeah,
who knows? I just think, he's and it's a shame that it didn't work out when he came back from injury. But then, you know, he's a different manager. Different managers come in, and it's, you know, or 2-3 different managers probably came in between him. One came back twice, and so it just didn't work out. But you know, he did well at Brentford, and as I said, they gave him minutes on the pitch, which showed they must obviously have trusted him to come on. And he's a good foil for Pontus. That's basically why they got him on, because Pontus was injured, so he was an obvious choice. And you need a squad to Brentford. So hopefully they'll get him in, and I'd hope they do. Just for his Premier League experience more than anything. He's played that league. No one else has played in that league in that team, really.
Exactly.
So anyway, hopefully be back at London Stadium in some capacity. Right, okay, when he's in, let's move into midfield. Let's go left wing.
This is the easiest player, Dimitri Payet. He's the best footballer to ever play for West Ham I've seen in terms of talent. The guy had made football look easy. He carried us that year in the Boleyn. If it weren't for the year of the Boleyn, that'd be Payet's season. The guy got like 13 in the Ballon d'Or. Like, come on, you don't ever hear a West Ham player like even in that sentence. Like, he was an absolute beast. He's the best footballer I have ever seen live in a West Ham shirt. He's not my favourite West Ham footballer, but
no, me neither.
He's incredible. Some of the stuff he's done, like that free kick at Man U away in the FA Cup. Anybody else even lined it up, you're like, what are you doing? But him, everyone was like, it's just going in. It's going in. And holy Christ, him leaving was a sad day, because what a player.
Exactly, and that's why now I think people have sort of not realised, but again, I think he's literally. I think we've interviewed over about almost coming up to 400 people. I think eventually soon, and he is one of the most picked because he was one of the best players in the world, and he played for us. You know, and as you said, it's like it's not necessarily how they leave now. I think, you know, it's slightly tainted, but you know, he gave us so many memories. And again, the stars aligned. You know, we had this amazing player in the last season with the right manager for him, and it worked. And, you know, that was, you know, 5 years ago. It was Euros, last Euros, weren't it? He starred in. So now we've got a deck starring in this year, and Yarmolenko. And Souček and they're still in.
Yeah, that's true.
So we ain't got, and if they played Fabianski for Poland, it would have been better,
that's why they struggled.
That's why I struggled. Totally is. Jamie, right, so we'll put Dimi Payet in. Okay, we'll put him on the left. He's going to go on the right side then, the right wing.
This was tough because in the end I've not really gone with a winger. I've just got him in because I loved him. Jack Collinson.
Nice.
Growing up I always really used to like Jack Collinson. Not the best footballer in the world, but always seemed to come up with a good goal. I remember the 2 he got against Cardiff in the playoff semi-final. I always remember when he came through, I always loved him. And I do genuinely think if it weren't for the knee injuries, he would have been a real special talent and would have played a lot of appearances for West Ham. But
definitely.
He's one player who I've always had a soft spot for, and that's why I had to get him in. It was between him and one other person who isn't in this team that I know. I'm probably the only person that's ever come on this that has never had Mark Noble in this team. Mark Noble's not made it. I get a lot of grief. I've never been the biggest Mark Noble fan. It was either Collinson or Noble, and that would have been hard.
I think for me, Collinson, Jack was. I mean, you're right. He's one of those players who I mean, you got to think as well. West Ham again. He's sort of written in his fabric of his history as well now, because obviously, his dad was a big West Ham fan. His dad passed away, obviously, in that motor crash, after the Spurs game, and then we played Millwall the week after, and he wanted to play in the Millwall game, and we won that game, and he broke down, and and it's great to see he's now in charge of Atlanta reserve team, basically, isn't he?
But he was on the coaching staff at one point as well. Or was I wrong?
He was. He was doing some stuff for the under-16s, I think it was.
That was it.
And there'll be a place for him when he wants to bring his kids back. I mean, it's like 38 degrees over. I mean, I love Atlanta. He's not done. He ain't done a wrong, and I tell you, they're brilliant over there. And so, but eventually, I want to come. The smell of pie and mash will entice him back over. And I'd love to see him. I can. I'm a Mash fan, I'll be honest. But no, I'm not. I'm honestly Mrs. Budham, mother-in-law, they love it. We get,
love it.
Nigel Khan's son delivers it. He delivers it to us, but I don't like it. I don't know why, but they adore it. But I'm more of a bagel man. I'm more of a salt beef bagel man. You know what I mean? I love a good salt beef bagel, but not pie mash. We digress as always. Right, so put Jack in. Love Jack, top man. Right, who's your? Okay, we'll do centre mid. Who's your first centre midfielder? We'll put Jack on the right. Whatever.
Rice, Declan Rice.
I've heard
he's a little bit good, isn't he?
He is quite good, isn't
he? He's the player at the moment who is just so important to this West Ham team. Most valuable. He's the one that when he leaves, I think no West Ham fan is going to begrudge him, because he's good enough to play at the next level. He's already like in the top 10 or something like that for West Ham appearances, and he's only like 21, 22. Yeah. Like, the man is loved by basically every single West Ham fan. And I'd love him to stay at West Ham for his whole career, because if he stayed, he probably goes down in history as one of West Ham's best ever players, in the same echelons as Noble, easily.
I agree. That's the amount of games he's played. I mean, you got to think also Mark never really broke into the first team. I mean, Deck literally broke into the first team and has been the first team ever since.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, I remember watching, so I watched the playoff final the other day, and Noble was on the bench and Zamora scored, and you're thinking that wasn't that many years ago, and then he sort of started to get into the team. But Rice is pretty much, as soon as he played, he was pretty much in the first team. As soon as that Burnley game, he came for the last few minutes. And Pellegrini put him at the centre mid, the sort of CDM role, didn't he? If I remember.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "What the hell are you doing? He's a centre back." And I remember seeing him at the under 23s. He was stand out head and shoulders, not necessarily being the best player on the pitch, but because he just looked like a proper footballer. And they put him at CDM, and it was like, okay, this is working now. But as you said, he's playing so many games at so young. I honestly think if he stayed at West Ham for his career, he would eventually have a stand named after him.
Oh, he'd be up.
Do you know
there.
what I mean? He's that because easily he'll be knocking in 600-700 appearances.
Oh,
just the rate of games, and how long and also he's a CDM now, so he can prolong his career by dropping back into centre back when he's in the when he's 38, 30. Rather than do the other. He's working his way back, and that's what tends to happen. And I think he would easily surpass. He would easily surpass Mark Noble. Oh. He would easily surpass. He would be up there with Bobby Moore and Billy Bonds in terms of appearances. I really genuinely think so, just because Mark Noble was Mark Noble, and he'll always be Mark Noble. But Declan Rice, he's a genuine player who could go to any team in the world. And
in an era where people always leave their clubs, if he stayed and made that amount of appearances, you don't really see that, like, hardly ever.
No, you don't. And I think he's a very clever man. He's a clever boy, and he knows how much he's adored at West Ham, and he knows that when Mark Noble plays a 6, we put him down for a 7. Yeah, because he's Mark Noble, and he, at the end of the day, he's in the England squad. He's going to be in Europe next season. If we win a cup here and cup there, the only thing he'd want to go for is Champions League football and the Premier League. And Christ, who knows? Who knows what this team could do with the right, I mean, look at Leicester. Look where Leicester have come from and look where they are now, So, and, he'll be, if he goes to City, that's when I was worried about City, but not this year because obviously just signed Fernandinho for New Year. City was one I was always worried about, not Chelsea, not Liverpool. It was always City or Man United.
Yeah.
Now, if he leaves, obviously next season, Mark's finished. So he will be the main man. He'll be the main man. He'll be a big fish in a small pond, or he go to United or City and be one of interchangeable.
It'll be his team.
Player.
It will be Declan Rice's team, for years to come.
In the same way that Billy Bonds and Trevor Brooking, they commanded that midfield in the 80s, and that was they were West Ham. Billy Bonds was West Ham. And it's a real old school mentality. But I think Dec's got that old schoolness about him. He's got that. And that's why I liked him at the England game, because you saw him walking around and saw him jeering up the crowd. He had that sort of Terry Butcher, John Terry, sort of come on, and that's real, that's future England captain material there, 100%. Right there, easily. Not necessarily the best player, most technically best player on the pitch, but the player who will not stop, and he'll have your back all the time.
Yeah.
And so, we'll post this, and he'll probably leave on Saturday. But
£150 million bid accepted by Man City, and we're like, oh,
brilliant! There you go. Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. All the best. Good luck to you. But you're right. I remember last summer, the summer just gone. We were literally walking him out the door, and we were literally walking him to Chelsea, weren't we? Saying, "Good luck to you, mate." Yeah, fair play. Yep. Because I think there's a realization that there's a certain level, but then the season we had, that level's gone up a little bit. So actually, we're not in Chelsea's echelon yet, but you know what I mean. We're the second best team in London rather than the first. Best team in London. Yeah, that hasn't happened for a long time. Right, Declan Rice. Anyway, rant over. Who's he going to partner in the central midfield?
My favourite ever West Ham player, Scott Parker. This man, I loved him. I love him now. When he left for Tottenham, it broke my heart, but he had to go. Yeah. There's people out there that say, "Oh, he was wrong to go to Tottenham," and I'll defend him to the hills.
Me too.
That year we got relegated, he won PFA Wrights Player of the Year. Come on, we came 20th. We were in absolute shambles, and he was incredible. He would have walked into a load of teams. He was everything for me growing up. He was the one footballer when I loved watching. Hammer of the Year 3 years in a row. He was the best footballer. I growing up, it was Scott Parker. That's who I love, Scott Parker. It will take something special for someone to ever beat Scott Parker as my favourite ever footballer. He's gone to Bournemouth as manager, and I've already said, if Moyes was to leave, he'd be the guy I'd want. Because
I agree. I agree. I really think that for me, he's, there's that sort of old, and again, we talk about old school mentality. He seems very much like an old school, might be the hair or anything.
Yeah.
But he's always impeccably turned out. I still think he bought a brand new blazer for when he came to London Stadium last season for sure. But he was, and people criticise him. And that's the one thing that wound me up more than anything about that, because we, as I said, there's two types of people who get ones who give 100% and ones who are flash Harrys, and we love both of them. Parker, 100%. I'd sometimes see him crawl to his car, hobble on because he'd put so much effort in for West Ham. He wasn't even the captain, but even the papers called him Captain Parker.
I remember Colton Cole telling the story when we were 3-0 down against, who was we 3-0 down against? Was it Birmingham?
West Brom.
West Brom, that was it. And he came into the changing room, and apparently the team talk made people cry. This man he was my hero growing up. And when we got relegated, I think I was more upset because it meant that we were going to lose Scott Parker more than we were going to be playing in the Championship. I adored him. That goal against Wigan as well, and his celebration where he just ran towards the main stand and slid. It's etched in my memory. The man could not do anything wrong in my eyes. He could literally come into my house and punch me, and I'll probably get on my knees and still praise him.
But he's still, the fact when he sort of he was going to Tottenham. He still played that day and scored. The night before against Watford away, and as you said, he left because he was at the height of his career, really.
England career.
He was playing for England, and his dad on his deathbed said he'd play for Tottenham or something like that. So what can you expect? And he didn't want to move, and he would have, if probably weren't for that, he may well have stayed. I mean, Carrick gave us a year when we were down, and we didn't go up, and he left. So yeah. It's one of those, it does wind me up. All we ask for is players to give it, and this guy gave it every game without fail. And people would criticise him anyway. Rant over number 2. Up front, who's your first striker?
Dean Ashton.
Dino.
I don't know a lot of people's thoughts on him, but for me, if he was the same as Collinson, if he didn't get injured, I think he could have gone on to be even bigger and better. Like, he could have played for a bigger club than West Ham. Like, incredible footballer, just such an incredible player who every time he played, you knew there was a goal in it for him.
Yeah,
it was the age thing with the age-old thing. The injuries just hampered him so badly.
Yeah,
but every time he plays, you were in the game. Like, he would have played so much more for England. He probably would have moved on to a bigger thing. But Dean Ashton he's probably my favourite ever West Ham striker, even though the other person I've got playing with him has been more efficient.
Yeah. But I think with Dino, I think you're right. He was one of those players who would have had an incredible career. We all know that. He would have had an incredible career. And I always say this about Ashton. He's the player that Harry Kane wishes he was. I've said it. I've said it. Because he had everything as a striker. He had as a modern day striker, he had it all. He had the ability. He could smack it in for 30 yards like Harry Kane does. He could jump and get headers. Yeah. But unlike Harry Kane, he had a turn of pace in him over 5 yards to beat a man. He could. He was skillful enough to wrong foot a player with a turn or a flick. He did a bicycle kick. I'd never see Harry Kane doing a bicycle kick. You know what I mean?
He's done that twice. Once
when he was retired at 15 years after he retired, he scored a bicycle kick. And he would have been the England partner for Rooney for years, maybe even at Man United as well. But that's hindsight. But I love Dino. I think he was in my team as well. I thought phenomenal. Right, okay, we'll put Dino in. Who's going to be the last player?
Mikel Antonio. And
Mikel Antonio.
I used to dislike him, but since he's gone to striker, he's just, as you said, he's the worst footballer going. He just scores goals, and since he's gone to striker, he's become a different animal, and he's played such an important part in the West Ham successes this year, and even last year when we stayed up. The year at Boleyn, the second half of the year, he scored some really important goals to go against Tottenham, 1-0. Scored in the last game of the Boleyn. Like, the man has scored some really important goals for West Ham, and he's likely to be our top ever Premier League goal scorer. Look, I never saw Paolo Di Canio, which I wish I did, but Mikel Antonio is likely to break his record, so he has to go in this team for me. No, he
does, and I think that's totally justified. I mean, for me, Antonio is, and I think the same way like someone like Vardy. The fact is, he's gone through all the leagues. He hasn't, and I've said this before. He's not a snowflake. He ain't, got into the Man City academy at 11 and just stayed there all his life. Maybe a couple of loan signings to Dutch teams or German. No, he just literally has been, playing at Marshes and shit like that. And he just now he's he's probably only got a couple of seasons left. The fact is we work around his sponge hamstrings, but you can't. But when he's on it, there's no one like him in the Premier League, or Traore. But there's only two of them like it in the Premier League. There's no one like him. And now he's gonna, he got called up to the Gold Cup for Jamaica, and fair play. Get with international football. he would have been a perfect. I mean, I still don't know why he never got sniffed around the England squad properly. I know he had like a cap, didn't get sniffed around because for him, like yesterday, you know, he would have come on and terrorised Hummels. Absolutely, ripped him a new one. Just literally, you know, and everyone talks about that 30 minutes against Wolves.
He was very good that 30 minutes, to be fair.
Prime Ronaldo that day. And everyone talks about it. I love the way people talk about that 30 minutes against Wolves.
Yeah.
But, just wind him up for 30 minutes, like, you know, 20 minutes to go, and hopefully you don't get extra time and you'll be all right. Sorted. But yeah, Mikel Antonio, God bless him.
Yeah.
And he's got a bit, you know, in an age when footballers aren't particularly charismatic. I mean, Harry Kane bores me to tears. Him and Declan Rice have got stuff about them. You know, they do this. They bring, I mean, celebrations. You know, like proper celebrations.
Although
everyone used to.
When he said, like, on Monday Night Football, he said he won't do celebrations anymore. It's like, come on. Like, his celebrations are iconic. It's part of Mikel Antonio. He's got to bring them back.
It is. You've got to bring them back. It's like everyone always used to, Robbie Keane and Luar, and they always used to have a proper celebration. You know, Lee Sharp and Bohemian with the corner flag, but no one does them anymore properly, apart from silly handshakes. And he brought them back, and I thought, yes, fair play to him. Fair play to him. There we go, mate. There's a team. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know I'm not going to be popular with missing Mark Noble, but I had to get Rice and Parker in there.
You know what? But just, you know, but also the fact that it's Mark Noble, you know, some people, you know, it doesn't matter. You don't have to put Mark Noble in your team, man. As you said, I think for you, he said Scott Parker and Declan Rice, you know. I think that's a good too. To be honest, Martin Obi's sort of a bit like Scott Parker anyway, you know, because it's like he very much learned from Scott Parker about how to be a midfielder, and Declan Rice has learned from Martin Noble, who's learned from Scott Parker. So it's like the circle of life. So it's in mid-central midfielders. But there we go. Jamie, man, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. It's been great
thank you
fun.
For having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolute
really
pleasure,
enjoyed
man.
it. Loved it.
Yeah, me too, man. And don't forget to check out. We'll put a link in the description. But go and see the Pretty Bubbles podcast, guys, and give them a subscribe and show them some love, some West Ham love. And for myself and from Jamie, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Get those jab appointments. Come on, you irons, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone.